Hello, hello, hello to all the movers, makers, and shakers who live out loud, stand strong, build empires, move mountains, push boundaries, make memories, and refuse to take no for an answer. You are paving the way for the next generation of woman leaders. If this sounds like you came to the right place. Welcome to WomanCEO Podcast, focused on wealth, confidence, empowerment, and ownership. I'm your host, Yasmine Belle, two-time CEO and founder, tax accountant, and certified wealth and money mindset coach, helping you live abundantly. Welcoming in today's podcast is a real estate investor turned life coach by helping women overcome anxiety organically. Her journey has been no walk in the park by being a wife, mother, entrepreneur, while dealing with her own anxiety, stress, and depression, which makes her today a woman supporting women by painting their own canvas, cultivating confidence, self-love, and acceptance. She infuses the goal approach in her coaching, which stands for get yourself oriented about self-love, shedding any cultural and limiting beliefs, and flipping the script geared towards empowerment. Nidhi, welcome to the show. I am so happy to have you here because I want to speak to you about women's role in today's society and in the movement that we're seeing around us in the world, especially in cultures such as India or African countries, which we both can relate as we both grew up in an environment where we show progression in women's right and fighting for equality, but there's still a mindset and stereotype that women should still manage the household and men support the household financially. And there's no better way to start than with your quest by taking initiative and changing yourself and your family dynamic. So tell me about that and how did you even begin to even break the mold?
Hey, Yasmin, thank you for the wonderful introduction. Yes, actually, my desire to serve the world was very strong and had been there for a long time. But I've always been working, always in the job market, and I had very little time to contemplate and be with myself. And this pandemic actually worked as a blessing. I came home with kids, and there was little or no help, so I had to be home and help them, support them in their online classes and take care of the house. It was just a need, and in the process, I found that even though outside we were all very happy and we sat together, but there was a lot of disturbance within me. And I started looking in myself. I'm a very good meditator. I meditate every day for an hour. And I started talking to my folks back home, my friends, and I started diving into the culture. So there were a few things in the culture that I realized that I was doing unconsciously just because everybody had been doing it and I was doing it too. And I found soon enough that I was a big cultural mess. And so that kind of it pushed me to find more, and I dived deeper. And thank God there was so much strength in the family. There was so much support. I came out very successful and here talking to you.
Wow, that is incredible. So, wow, that is really, really great. And you know that it's how did you even realize, I guess, that you had that unsettling feeling? Like what came up for you during that time?
Well, I was doing a lot of things that I was just doing subconsciously. Like, say, especially when I came home, I had all the time to contemplate on a lot of things. And it's when I spoke to my folks back home, there were three things that came up for me, which I was doing culturally. Well, make your husband happy and keep him very happy. I would wait for long hours when he returned from work, even though I would be very tired. I would have a long day myself. Do not go out on vacation without your husband. And it's kind of the whole life revolved around my husband. And people back home as well. And then kids cannot work a non-professional job, which I had denied my kids as well when they were growing up. And it was a wow moment for me to be able to become even aware of those cultural mess I was in. It was
Mhm.
such a dilemma, what to do, what not to do. And then I started diving deeper into those cultural values, what to take along, and why we are doing it in the first place.
Mm.
And when I dived deeper, I was so I was so I was so closed because I was doing it just for because people have been doing it generation after generation, and I had been following unconsciously. I
Mhm.
had been doing it as well. And slowly, step by step, I came out from each one of them just to realize how what a freedom it is to come out of those cultural shackles that holds us. And still I felt very lucky to be on this side of the bridge where I could make choices and make a difference in my family's life, my kids' life as well.
Wow, that is really brave because, breaking social and cultural conditioning really takes a lot of strength. And, growing up in Morocco myself, having a Moroccan father, it was very, I mean, that's the way the cookie crumbled, right? Men were more
Mhm.
the dominant um, traits, and women, we were basically very submissive.
Mhm.
So it's incredible that you had that innate awareness to really, I guess, lack of a better word, wake up, right?
Yeah.
Challenge, right? You challenge yourself, you challenged your beliefs, you challenged, what you wanted.
Yeah.
And it really
Mhm.
is about setting yourself free.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is, your inner peace is freedom. And I
Yeah.
think it's such an important topic to touch on because we're so, we can get into a hamster wheel,
Mhm.
right? Because it's okay, we're supposed to do this. So why aren't
Yeah.
we doing it,
Mhm.
right? And so the magic happens once we start questioning. We start
Yeah.
questioning, well, why? Is it really settling with me? Am I
Mhm.
happy? Does it make me, um, uh, full? It does it make me? It gives me inner peace. What is it?
Mhm.
So questioning and bringing it to awareness is definitely powerful, to stand on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so how was that conversation with, your husband or your family, or how was that? Because it's not like you were a single woman at the time.
No, I was not, and I still am not. Even though I broke through all the cultural differences we had at the time, actually, it wasn't on the outside, it was within. I was doing everything. I was the one following the rules, I would say, blindly, and I was not supposed to. Even if I'm awake now, I do it out of love. I do it out of respect for my husband, but it's not any more bondage.
Mm,
But with the family, it was so overwhelming in the beginning,
mm,
and it was keeping me so tied up in my own thoughts. How would I take it up? How would I make the change? So I had to make the change within first. And it's just like a car you never see coming, and it slams into you. Ouch! It hurts, right? So the cultural difference was just the same for me.
mm,
And when I'm so thankful also in the way that I joined the J Shetty certification program for being a coach. It told me to open up. I learned to open up, question myself. Before I could question others, I questioned myself. Why am I doing what I am doing? What will happen if I don't do? And where will it lead me? And then it's like getting the bill passed in governance. So you draft it, you introduce it, and then the bill is shown to the committee. So me and my husband were no less, our house was no less than a White House, where a lady and the president would talk. And we went through it. I'm so fortunate and so lucky to have the kids I have and my husband. It's such a beautiful journey, and we crossed it together. There were long conversations, discussions, and but the bill was passed in the end.
that is incredible. Wow, so powerful. And so what was the push to get you to become a coach?
Oh well, to be a coach, it was just my feeling to serve,
Mhm,
and I know that I needed to do something when I came home. And I knew I needed to do something more than just, being home. And that's when but I was a very introvert and a shy child growing up. And when I looked within, I knew there could be something out there that I could do from home. Kids were my foremost priority. They were home as well. They were taking classes on Zoom, and but I realized I can stand up for myself while taking care of them, while taking care of my family. And so that's when I started going out. Online. It was all online, and I came across Jay Shetty's certification program, and in no time, and I think that was the first group. And in no time, I just went ahead and joined the program, and there I am, boom! And it opened me up so much. It was like everything was. The universe was waiting for me to unfold all the layers that had piled up over the years. And it's so fortunate. I and then I would listen to Jay's podcast, his talks, his teachings. They coincided with me so well. And in one of his talks, he said, start making decisions on your own. And that was like, it hit me like a lightning. And I was like, wow, I am unconsciously, anything new had to happen, and I would run to my husband. Is that a right decision? Is that something I'm doing right? And I never thought of it. It wasn't a burden at the time. Even now, it is not a burden, but it wasn't making me self-sufficient, wasn't keeping me on my foot. It's like I'm dependent on someone for little things that I could manage myself. And I started making decisions for myself, and I made this decision to enroll in his program. And there you go. My journey was never the same.
Wow. And you touch on such a powerful point of making decisions. We often always ask our friends or a family member, what should I do? What do you think I should do? What do you think I should do? And especially in relationships or business. And, in the end of the day, we're so busy asking other people that we're not really asking ourselves the questions. What do we really want? What lights us up? What lights our soul? And I think that's one of the things to really remember is before asking other people's opinion, ask yourself those fundamental key questions, because nobody really walks your path. Nobody walks in your shoes. People can give you advice based on their experience, but really the truth lies within. And we're so afraid sometimes to find or look for that truth, and clarity and awareness is the key to joy and happiness, because then you're aligning yourself with you're aligning your stars, you're aligning your path. Everything will come clear, and then you open the world to really giving you what you desire. Once you do that. So yeah, it's really powerful. Wow, that is incredible. So what is it about your kind of breaking free in society? Like, how was it with your family or your support group? How was that?
Well, like I said, we used to have long discussions in the family. My kids were very, very supportive of what I was doing, and it's kind of, we grew together. And they would see me with the struggles I had, the questions I had, and what if I did this and it brought bad name to the culture, and what if I did that and it brought bad name to the family's reputation? Like I said, kids were not allowed. When my daughter was growing up, she's 21 now, and if she actually asked me if she could work in Starbucks, and I was like, no, that's not a very good job. You should study and then work. And I remember having that discussion. And this time of the year was my challenge to myself. What will I do now? Because it's not even here. It was also back home. People would not allow their kids. And I was also doing it. And then recently I allowed her. I said, go for it. it helped her so much. It helped me as a mother so much. She doesn't stay with us. She stays in her university. She has a room there, but she had all the time. It kept her away from the bad company. It kept her away from the bad habits that kids could get out in the outside world. And it taught her the value of money. And you see, it's a good growth. And I would like to say to all the parents who actually stop kids from doing outside of their box, actually let them go, let them learn, let them stand on their feet right from the beginning. Stay there, keep them safe, but not to the extent that you get possessive about them. And it doesn't matter. Family's reputation doesn't go down just because they took up a job outside. So that was a great strength. That was a very good strength for me.
Wow, that's powerful. Because, we tend to, lack of a better word, control we want to always control the outcome, right? So we think protecting sometimes will allow the children to be, in this bubble. We protect them, but really it's about releasing them into the wild and making sure that they're safe, they're protected, but also that they're doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. My family was really like that. Both of my parents were always pushing my sister and I to do what we wanted. And that was something that now that I'm talking to you about it, it's reminding me, because my dad always used to tell me, go do your thing. I'm always here if you need me. You always have me to count on. Go do your thing.
Awesome.
And it definitely changes you as an adult, as a young child, as an adult, because now you're making decisions for you. This is why I very seldom ask people for questions and decisions. I literally will sit there and journal it out when I have a dilemma, a question. I usually reflect and really feel it in my body and ask myself, how does this make me feel?
Yeah.
Is it giving me anxiety? Is it making me joyful? Is it happiness? Is it excitement? Or is it fear-based? What is it? And so I play with those emotions and, I awaken my body, so to speak. And that's really the decisions that I make. And sometimes when I do hit a wall, like after I've really cleared out the cobwebs, so to speak, in that decision making, I'll say, okay, I may need a person's feedback, but I've pretty much made my decision, but I wanted to get their input just in case I missed the blind spots, right? But at that point, I pretty much made my decision like 95%, right? And who I ask also is important. So who I ask, if I'm asking on a business decision, for instance, I will go and turn to my friends who own businesses, right, that are successful, not necessarily to someone that has not a business or, doesn't understand the day-to-day of running your own business, etc. So I think who you're asking also really is important. So it's really those key areas to really take into account.
Yeah. And in one of the talks, I remember Jay said, if he needs any financial advice, he will not go to his wife. And same thing for us.
Very true.
So we need to break those shackles one day or the other. So, but I'm happy we are walking the path and we are walking the talk.
Yes. And especially as women right now, we have this movement of our voices and, stepping into our truth and stepping into our power and really being authentic and real and raw. And it's such a beautiful movement and I love it. And this is why, I'm such an avid supporter of women, and hence this podcast. It's about stepping into the CEO of your life, because it really is about owning your journey and really shining and I wish I could wave a magic wand for women to stop competing with each other instead of inspiring and supporting and uplifting, because it will change the world. But we try to do the best we can, and we're hopefully making an impact, right? That's what we want at the end of the day.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So what about the communication with your husband? Like, I'm curious. So when you stepped into this power and made changes to who you were, can you give me an example of what bothered you, or what you went through, and how you communicated, or did you communicate with your husband? Like, how did that first?
Yeah, when I was into these, like I said, the cultural dilemmas, I had to resolve it within myself. First, I had to get that goal set up. And my goal was to respect and love. And when it boiled down to respect and love, culture didn't really have a room in it. So it was just on the outside that um, it had to be implemented. And it's something that I took my husband into confidence, and we talked about it. And luckily there weren't really issues. Like I said, it was more within me. It was more within my journey to stand up for myself. And so, as I thought, is that I have to stand up for myself. But my standing was already there. And it was my path to take that walk until I reached my husband, which wasn't really hard to do at the time. Within me, it was. But on the outside, it wasn't really a big deal. So I feel so blessed and lucky to have this family, and where I could cross the path, walk on it, and came out so successful, came out so empowered, which taught me that, in fact, I feel I'm out and open, willing to learn and face as life unfolds. So I'm glad to have such a beautiful family.
Yes, and a very open husband that is willing to listen and hear you out and work with you, and you touch on something incredible, which
Yeah.
was you're struggling with your own insecurities, with your own fear. Has nothing to do with him,
Yeah.
right? It was your internal dilemma
Yeah.
that you were struggling with. So once you broke free of your own,
Yeah.
it was magic happened.
Yeah.
And it brings me to this point where, why do we do this to ourselves?
Yeah.
Why do we have this internal dilemma? Why do we have this struggle that we feel, right, that we're battling with?
Yeah, it's because, see, it's already there across the world. So many girls are aborted or abandoned right when they are born. And so it's in a psychology. It's women are looked down upon. Go by father, go by husband, go by, you even leave your name that you're born with. And so leaving everything also leaves your self-confidence, your self-awareness. And I feel that women need to be empowered. We are the creators of another life. We are the one who bring out the kids who they are in the society today. And if a woman is empowered, will make empowered kids, make empowered families. And so long we don't step on somebody's boundaries and somebody's, do anything wrong. But I think we need that empowerment. We need to find that peace. And even if finding that peace, we need to seek help. I want to tell everyone, go for it.
Yeah.
You are the source of that energy in the family. Your husband goes out to work and you are home. You in fact create a life from your being. And so don't lose that. Don't let fear overtake you. You have that awareness, raise that level, raise the standards of every household. And you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah, I 100, I second that, absolutely. And it was very similar to, number one, I wanted to touch on the fact that you use respect and love as your foundation to move forward and to have those conversations. And it's wow. It's wow. Because when we have that energy, so when we have that intention, when we set that intention that it's respect and love, and you're having a conversation that may be difficult for you, not necessarily for the relationship, but for you, and you remind yourself it's respect and love, you're also getting that back because it's the energy that you're putting out, as opposed to, hey, we're changing the rules, right? More of an aggressive state. But if you're staying in that respect and love state, then you're definitely getting that back, and you're able to work through things with kindness,
Sure.
with love, and really stepping into your power. So that's something that is a reminder and a practice for myself as well. Sometimes, especially when emotion gets a little bit heated, and we're nervous, or we're scared, or we're anxious about something. It's really important to remember what is the intention, and stepping into that conversation,
Yeah.
and really having an intention for the outcome.
Yeah.
So, if we're having a conversation, what's the outcome? What do we want? Do we want to bond? Do we want to separate? What is the end goal? And so often we have conversations, we don't have an intention. We don't have an end goal. We just want to go and dump our stuff on the other person, as opposed to try to lure them in and say, I have this thing. Can you please help me? I need you, or I need your help, or I need your support, in a respectful and a loving way. It will change the dilemma. And it's been my practice. It's difficult because, again, it's that conditioning, or it's that wasn't raised with those skills, right?
Yeah.
So it's really breaking that mold. And I too, when I went through the program, through becoming a certified coach, it took me a little longer than expected, because I wanted to really work on myself and be my best version. And I'm constantly and continually implementing and changing and practicing. And I'm really an avid person on growth mindset, and really putting your best self forward, because it's a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
So when you do good, the whole world does good.
Yeah.
And you teach and you break molds, and now we become the leaders of tomorrow and the next generation. And that's what we're doing. We're hoping to make even a small impact. We'll make an impact. Even one person, that's an impact. Yeah. So it's very powerful. So what about because you mentioned your children, and you mentioned how open they were when you decided to step into your power, and and have that conversation, right? How was that, with having that conversation with your kids?
Well, like I said, my kids and my family were very supportive of me, of making that change. I was going through so much of cultural dilemmas, and kids grew up in American culture, and I grew up in our own Indian culture. And I took certain traits of my culture, and they had certain traits of the society as a whole. And it was from them. And I remember still when my daughter said, Mama, you're a mother, you can do anything. And that gave me shivers in my body. And I was like, I can make the change. It's just me against me. And it's different how I was viewing myself, through my own lens, through my own judgment, through my own perception. And I thought to myself, if I do not do what culture requires me to do, then how will kids grow up in knowing that culture? So there were a lot of, and how will I be a good wife or a good mother or a good human being because I'm not following my culture? And but I had to break all that. It was like a tip of the ice, and I had to break because it wasn't causing any peace within me. Then I evaluated everything through the lens of peace, love, respect. Am I respecting while following my heart's desire? Am I loving my family while still taking care of me? In fact, I felt I was giving more. If I could take care of myself, I was giving more. A healthy mindset can create more healthy mindsets. And my mindset had to change at that time. And I was in the course, I was learning completely opposite from what I was thinking. And with the J Shetty certification program, I was able to question my beliefs and my limiting beliefs and my confinement to a box. I was like in a coop. And just to be able to take a step outside was so scary for me. What will happen? What if there are people, holding guns that will shoot me? Ta, 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 ta. And but I had to take my step forward. I couldn't do without it.
Yeah.
So my base was love, respect, and peace. And it brought out all three of them while trying to make my name out of that, my standing in still holding my ground stronger and still holding the family's reputation together, which wasn't going to be tarnished because I was, in that cultural dilemmas and conflicts, and my mindset wasn't thinking straight, but it was thinking straight. It was that, the energy that was going back and forth till I could actually make it happen. And here I am. I'm so blessed, so wonderful experience, such a wonderful journey in past couple of years. That such a freedom, I would say, Yasmine. It just wows me as a person, how I grew up and where I am today with all the support I have in my family.
Wow, that's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love to hear that. And those three pillars that you mentioned, the peace, respect, and love, are your values. They're your core values. And often we forget, or we're not in touch with our core values. And our core values are really the inner compass. What is your inner spirit ritual compass, basically, to boil it down? And, I commend you because that's they're beautiful inner pillars to live by, because once you have those, regardless whether it's trust, whether it's humility, whether it's empathy, whether it's compassion, whether it's strength, as long as we are honest, authentic, and real with how we want to live, then that will guide you. And I think so many times we don't even stop and ask ourselves the questions: what are our values? What are our values? And so when I meet people and I get to know them, I ask them, what are your core values? And sometimes they look at me with a deer in headlights, like, what? What do you mean? And I'm like, wait, no, you don't? Oh my gosh, hold on. Let's have a mini coaching session right now, and we break it down, because it's really important. It's what matters to you, not the values that other people want you to have, not how you were raised, not your conditioning, family, just yours. What is your compass? Because that will really guide you to your purpose and passion, which now you are an incredible coach, helping women, right, with anxiety, depression, and really stepping into their power. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I see that a lot of women, when they come as a client, and with one thing that I really see in all of them is when they're stressed out, depression, and anxiety, they have not worked on it right from when they started. And it's very important to work on your, define your culture, define your values, and stand up to yourself. It's very important to be able to question yourself. A strong person can only make strong society, a strong family, that's how, we come and build these families structured together, and take some part from the culture, follow it. And so long there's love, respect, and peace in there. So these are my three pillars that I question everything from these three pillars. If you stand up to it, not excluding myself from it, not taking my respect, love, and peace out of it. So long it keeps us all in the same pillar, it's very good to go.
Wow, it is beautiful. And is that something that you discuss with your, obviously your children and your husband, your family, the core values? Do they share the same core values or do they have different ones?
No, that's why I'm here, happy, so happy, came out of it. If I
Mm,
did not have the same values reciprocated from all of them,
yeah.
it would have been, I would have been a really mess. I probably wouldn't be here. So that support counts. That support counts. And my journey was more within myself than outside.
Mm,
And when I took that step, it was more crossing my threshold than crossing the threshold of anybody else outside. So when I was able to take a step forward, I was able to actually make that change and actually make that was like an affirmation. I'm on the right path.
right.
I'm doing whatever I'm doing. It's benefit for everyone, benefit of family, benefit of myself, and it created more peace and joy within the family.
Mm, incredible. And what would you say to women or men out there that are listening, right? Um, that are struggling with this, that are struggling with peace, that are struggling with finding their way, that are
Hmm.
struggling with values or anxiety, right? I mean, now COVID,
Yeah,
separation,
yeah,
social disconnect. I mean, it's heavy. It's more
mm,
heavy now than ever before. So, what would you suggest to them?
yeah. Well, one thing I would say, find peace within yourself first.
Mm,
And if in the process you need to seek help, go for it. If you don't stand up for yourself, nobody will. And no one can love you the way you love yourself.
mm,
One thing that I follow also with my clients is a goal approach, which is get yourself oriented about self love.
mm,
And if you can love yourself, you can love the world. If you can stand up for yourself, you can stand up for everyone and anyone that you meet. And no one's like I said, no one can love you the way you love yourself. And I think one thing I saw in my clients, it's something they desire to seek help, that they are there. And if they did not take that first step towards getting the coaching, I don't think it's that would have it's like a cry for help
mm,
and the self love, and
yeah.
it's something that I realize that it's their own perception that is putting them down. Their limited beliefs, their confidence level is very low. They're asking for confirmation on the outside again and again, and sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't get it.
Mm,
So it's their limited beliefs.
mm,
They are not even aware at the awareness level that that's what they are doing. And when I have session with them, it's they when they look through the lens of goal,
mm.
it's get yourself oriented about self-love. They're wowed by the energy they feel, the strength, the power. And if I did not take care of myself during the time I needed to, right from the beginning when it started, I would have been a very good case of stress, anxiety, and depression myself.
Yeah.
But I want to tell everyone, go ahead, take help. Don't judge yourself. You're the only one judging. You're the only one that's stopping you from getting that help.
Mm.
So go for it. And it has, in fact, put me out there, ready to face, ready to learn, and ready to lead a life that I always dreamt.
I love that. Wow. Thank you so much. That was really powerful. And self-love is such, I mean, we could sit here all day talking about it, right? And it's such a big subject and a very important part of my life and empowering women and really stepping into the power because self-love, it's not about self-love is about taking care of yourself, mental, body, spiritual, whichever faith you have, and really being kind. And it started for me, my journey of self-love started with me when I stopped having those negative thoughts and really started to work on my positive mindset it changed. And gratitude, I've practiced gratitude. I exercise every day. I love my body. and I choose to look at things in life. I choose to look at the beauty in life,
Yeah.
not the darkness, not the sadness, not the loneliness, but the happy, the grateful, the opportunity, the ownerships, how we can help others, how we can serve. I mean, all that is love, and really being kind and respectful of one another and supporting each other. I mean, it's a beauty in life, and then you become magnetic, and you become, you inspire, and it's contagious.
Yeah.
It really is contagious.
Yeah.
Just out of your curiosity, what are your self-love routines that you have that you implement?
Well, it could be my self-love routine. Well, I start my day with connecting myself.
Mhm.
First thing in the morning when I wake up, I connect with myself. Even before I worry about my kids' lunch to school, I take I take few minutes and connect with myself,
Mhm.
and I thank God for giving me another day and a wonderful one. See, what happens is when I've already put an intention of having a wonderful day, the day will I'm definitely going to enjoy the day as it goes. So this intention is very important. The first thought, the first moment of early morning when we wake up, it's a beautiful moment to connect with ourselves. There are no noises. Everybody is, either asleep, or in my case, they are asleep when I wake up, and because I meditate first thing in the morning. But if I cannot in the morning, I do meditation, 1 hour daily meditation during the day. And apart from daily meditation, when I'm home, I read 3 books at a time. So I have 1 book upstairs, 1 book downstairs, and 1 book I read after lunch. And so that keeps me connected, focused. It gives me empowerment and adds a foresight into my day. So really helpful. That's a beautiful connection, and I take it along the day as it goes.
That's beautiful. Wow. I've done that before when I've read 3 books, and my friends are like, "How
It's
are you doing that?"
empowering.
I'm like, "Well, not at the same time, but I'll read a few pages of this one, this one, this one, because they're completely different books, and I want to, consume, and I love, like you, I'm an avid reader, and I love to read and also practice and implement what I've read, not just to read just for bypassing time. And I think meditation is a great self-love practice. That one, I don't do it for an hour. I commend you for that. I wish I could. I guess I never tried it for an hour. I think the longest I've meditated was for 30 minutes, and I feel really, really incredible. And I tend to do it in nature because it's
Yeah,
a little bit more quiet. I'm not distracted with, noises and things of that nature.
yeah,
Um, Although I've been working on the, um, how do you say, when you are not paying attention to sounds, right?
mm,
You're zoning out from the sounds and the chaos that could happen, right?
yeah,
Because sometimes I'm not able to go to nature, and I'm like, okay, we'll just meditate here. And I've been really practicing on just being me, being here in my
yeah,
environment, being, just allowing and balancing all my chakras.
mm.
So it's a powerful thing. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what are tools in your toolbox that the audience can use in their day to day when faced with uncertainty or difficult situations?
Well, I would say I would like to tell everyone, and I tell my clients too, love yourself.
Mm.
It's the only tool that can get you where you want to be.
Yeah.
It's the only tool that can give you strength. You are here because you do love yourself,
Mm.
and don't take time in seeking help. Don't judge yourself too much. There's so many people out there who can learn from your story. We all have stories to tell. I
Mm.
have my own platter full every single day,
Mm.
and every day I learn to sort it out in a certain way or other. So I would say cultural limitations, your limited boundaries, your your own inhibition to seek help, stops you from doing it. So you're the only person that stops you from seeking help, to going out there, crossing that threshold, and there's nothing wrong in it. We are the only people who judge ourselves. So I would say it's don't just follow the lead because subconsciously, because one is doing it and another one doing it and you doing it too, just to be in that rat race. So help yourself, empower yourself, and go out there. My goal approach works very best. It talks about self-love. One question that I always ask all my clients: what is your definition about self-love? They sometimes they judge too much. They too much see themselves as critique, and it just puts them down, and or they see themselves from the eyes of another, and it's not required. It's not required to be peaceful.
Right.
Let things be. It's okay to go in the flow. Let life flow itself. It's good. Time is going to flow anyway. So let it be. Sometimes we do need not do anything to go with the flow.
Yeah.
And sometimes our thoughts are not required at that time. And that's also loving yourself. That's also caring for yourself, to keep yourself peaceful away. And another thing that I always ask: how do you witness a situation? And that helps them so much, Yasmin. It's like you're seeing a car accident, but you're not a part of it. You're witnessing it, and it's amazing being a witness. And when I ask them this question, they're wowed, they're stunned by it, because all the time we are in the problem. We never step back and say, hey, I'm not that person who's going through it. I have more values that I can abide by. I have more peace than that. I love myself. I have a lot of respect for myself. And so that's really amazing how even now I get goosebumps even when I talk about it. It's amazing power. We all have those hidden treasures. We need to unfold it.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. Stepping away from the problem, looking at it from a bird's eye view when encountered with a situation. And also, I have this 95.5% rule that I have been implemented since, oh my gosh, 10 years now, which is 95% on the solution, 5% on the problem.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like, what's the problem? And I'm always looking for answers. And I think that really helped my positivity and also my ability, as an entrepreneur, as a woman that runs businesses, to take an issue and go, okay, great.
Yeah.
This is what I say with my team. I say, give me 5 possible solutions.
Yeah.
And I do that.
Yeah.
So, there's no reason for us to stew in the problem.
No.
Right? Let's just get the answers and let's move forward and let's learn from them. So I think that's another really important factor to take in consideration and keep in mind, is that it's okay if we encounter issues. It's okay if we have internal struggle. It's about allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, allowing ourselves to ask for help when we need to. This was a struggle of mine for the longest time. And this is something I'm working through right now, is really asking for help, not being afraid, not releasing a little bit of that power, that, hold of not wanting to bother someone or put somebody out, or, and so leaders help each other. We're so much better together. And it's about supporting each other. And I think having that conversation of, hey, I'd love your support, opens that conversation, opens that vulnerability, opens that gateway, because sometimes we don't know what other people are going through until we can step into that space and say, hey, by the way, I'm kind of going through this. I need you. Help me. You know what I mean? And having that conversation, I think, is really powerful. So yes, it's definitely a journey for sure. And what is one thing that if you could change in the world, what would it be?
I would say, and I tell myself too, and I think I found it. I tell everyone, find a purpose. Know why you're here. Know the reason behind your existence.
Mhm.
Know what makes you so special. You, like, just like Winston Churchill said, if you do not just, it's not enough just to live.
Mhm.
We should be determined to live for something.
Yeah.
So find that purpose, find the reason behind your existence, find yourself, know yourself,
Yeah.
know your weaknesses, know your strengths. You don't really have to work on a lot of them. You just let it be. You are a unique personality that has been born. You don't need to change anything about it. So again, my 3 pillars come into play: love, respect, and peace. So long you have these 3 and you have created it around you, the people that you meet feel that, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
You don't need all that perception, the judgment we put ourselves through. We need to be accountable. We need to blame no one for our experiences. I'm going to quote another Gillian Douchet. I was reading another day that we do not blame our shadow for our experience, for our body shape. Just the same, don't blame others for the experiences you have had.
Mhm.
And that's the same thing we need to follow in our life. Blame game does nothing. It keeps us more into the ditch of the dramas, the creation that we have created, and where we could use that energy in so much out there. People need us. So stand up for yourself. Be the person who have found a purpose in life. Be the person who has brought that change that world needs to see. So
Beautiful.
my message:
Purpose.
shape yourself.
Yeah.
Purpose. Yeah.
It's incredible. And you said something about blame,
Yeah.
and I think accountability is so important, and we need to really tap into it more than ever, because even in conversation, sometimes I hear, oh, she did this, he did that, oh, it's their fault. And I'm like, wow. And as a coach, I'm so sensitive to it. Like, I'm sensitive to it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I pick up on it like that. And I'm like, wow, there are so much lack of accountability out there. And I just wanted to be clear that accountability doesn't always mean that you have to take the blame for it. Because often it's like, well, I didn't do it. And again, it's ego. Ego now is wrapped into that conversation, because accountability, not blaming somebody and coming from love and saying, hey, they did the best they could. And I know they didn't come from that negative space. They meant well. Taking accountability, because we are always 50% linked to any situation.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's all the perception that we go through.
Yeah.
Nothing has any meaning unless we give to it. So beyond what we have considered it to be, there's no meaning into it.
Mhm.
Just like being a witness, when we witness something, some incidents, we are not a part of it. We become a part of it. We choose to become a part of it. It's all our choices. And that's where all the blame game and other dramas and other mindsets come into play. And so long we are accountable, we know what we are doing, we are creators of that within and without. I think we are fine. It's not, life is not very hard as we make it.
100%. And we're not right, we're not wrong, we just are. And I think at times where, instead of saying, oh no, you're wrong, no, you're right, we just are. We're both right and wrong at the same time, because we both come from different paths, different walks, different mindset. And so to have that and to keep that in mind, it could be a game changer. Because we're really accepting now the person for who they are. And in turn, hopefully, they're accepting us for who we are. And when we remove that blame, I'm telling you, it was one of the most beautiful quests and beautiful practices and journey that I've taken. Is I don't blame anyone. I take accountability for my actions. I'm not afraid to step forward and say, oops, my bad. I'm a human. I will learn from it. And I think those are lessons make you and shape you for who you are and who you will be. And have it, and embracing that is really powerful. And that is definitely a CEO mindset, let me tell you. And so where can the audience find you?
Well, they can find me on my Facebook. It's at Nidhi Batra. And or they can also find me on jshettycoaching.com. I am an alumni, and
Yes.
and they can find me there and on this podcast.
Yes, and on the
Connect to
podcast.
you.
Yes, and we'll have all the links below. And I just wanted to thank you so much for being a guest on our podcast. You are the light. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And for all of you that are watching, listening, all the details are below. And have a great day.
Thank you, Yasmine, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. My pleasure is all mine. Thank you for letting me share my voice with you. WomanCEO Podcast is brought to you each Monday, and please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. If you love this episode and want more content, share your voice with us by joining our clubhouse at Yasmine Belle and connect with us on our private members Facebook group at WomanCEO Leaders Who Lead. Remember to live with intention and purpose while stepping into the CEO in you. Until next time, bisous, bisous.